All right, shalom everyone and welcome once again to Just a Word as we are here on the Shabbat as we continue to share our Shabbat fellowship with you. As today we continue where we left off last week. Last week you looked at the Messiah. Because what does Revelation 14:12 say? Revelation 14:12. Revelation 14:12? Yeah.
Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahuwah and the faith of Yahusha.
So we have the faith of Yahusha. So according to the Bible, we could be keeping the commandments a million times if we don't have the faith of Yahusha. Which phone is near here? Getting interference. Yeah, if we don't have the faith or the emanah of Yahusha, then it's not a deal. The deal is when you keep the commandments and have the faith of Yahusha. So no matter what we're talking about, we could be discussing all sorts of doctrines and all sorts of things. If Yahusha is not in it, then we are wasting our time. Because remember when he comes, Matthew 7:21 to 23 tells you that he will be saying, I never knew you. Depart from me for those who are workers of iniquity. And also in Matthew 25, he says when he comes, he will be separating the sheep from the goat. So he is very, very important. But many people believe that he is a lie. Many people believe that he is an idol. Many people believe that we were sold a lie. So we continue to look at the Messiah to see the validity of the Messiah. We're not going to look today. We're going to be looking at the Old Testament Messiah, and we're not going to be looking at the prophecies in the Old Testament. We are going to look in the New Testament to see how the Old Testament is perfected through the Messiah. So what we're going to do, if you leave the Messiah alone with the Old Testament by itself and compare to see how it is when the Messiah has been added, we're going to see if things are any better. Because there are many people, Torah believing Old Testament only people. And they are just like prowlers. They go around and prowl on any topic that has to do with a Messiah. And then they push in their anti-Messiah rhetoric. So they believe that the Messiah is false. So the angle that we're going to use, because it's no sense you argue with them because they have made up their minds. The angle we are going to use is to show them how the Torah is more perfected. I'll just answer the question if the Torah is more perfected with or without the Messiah. Now, for much of today, we are going to be using the books of the Nazarene along with the Bible. Now, the books of the Nazarene and the enlightened ones you can download from our website at justaword.org/downloads. Now, this book gives us more depth of Yahushua HaMashiach. The Bible gives us only some of what transpired with Yahusha. This book shows us much more, and it goes into more depth. It goes into what we have in the Bible, into more depths than what we have in the Bible. So we're going to be using this today. And at the end, if you are thinking Old Testament only or inclined that way, you can ask yourself, is it better with the Messiah, with this Messiah, or better without? All right? Now, for us as believers, we know about physically following Moses. But we know that there is a spiritual following. And that is when we follow Yahusha. We follow him who we have not seen. Exodus 14:31.
And Yasharel saw that great work which Yahuwah did upon the Egyptians, And the people feared Yahuwah and believed Yahuwah and his servant Moses.
So, as we said last week, it's important for the people to believe the Most High and also to believe his servant that he sends. Now, at that time, it was Moses. Now, Hamashiach said something similar to this Moses thing in John 5:46.
For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me.
All right. So Moses wrote of him. But where did Moses write of him? I think we did it last week. Deuteronomy 18, verses 18 to 22. Deuteronomy 18, verses 18 to 22. Where did Moses write of Hamashiach specifically? He wrote in different places, but this one is the loudest. Deuteronomy 18:18.
I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
So the last what am I doing here? Oh, this is too loud, sorry. So the last week when we did a teaching, an Old Testament only person commented and said, oh, it's so simple. Deuteronomy 18:18 is speaking about Joshua. All right? It is speaking about Joshua. But it is foolhardy to think that prophecies only come at once. The Most High said, I am Yahuwah, I changeth not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So we're going to read further, and we're going to see that the Most High used it as a general term. It was not specifically for Joshua only. Verse 19.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
So when we go to the other verses, we see that it's speaking more generally, not of Joshua, but generally of prophets. Verse 20 says, but the prophet. He didn't say this prophet that I'm going to raise up. Verse 20.
But the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other Elohim, even that prophet shall die.
You see that? Look at it carefully. The Most High knew Joshua. He knows that Joshua would not be speaking in the name of other Elohim. He's speaking of prophets to come. Even that prophet shall die. He wasn't speaking of Joshua. Verse 21.
And if thou say in thine heart, how shall we know the word which Yahuwah hath not spoken?
No, it says when a prophet. He didn't say the prophet that is coming. A prophet, that means any prophet. Verse 22.
When a prophet speaketh in the name of Yahuwah, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahuwah hath not spoken, but the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously. Thou shalt not be afraid of him.
So was this only speaking about Joshua? No, this was speaking about prophets to come. So there's a new covenant prophet that he also promised. Yes? So it wasn't only Joshua. That prophet that was to come was Yahusha HaMashiach. So let's just get it right. Not all prophecies only fulfill once. There are many people who are in error online. When you say certain things, or when people say certain things, they jump and say, oh, that has already been fulfilled. So the Most High is only one, can only fulfill it once. The power of the Bible, we tell you, is that it keeps going over and over again. That is why it's relevant as long as we are living. Yeah, you need to take one of the mics in case you're in. Give him one of the mics, please. Yeah, what were you saying?
They try and put that Old Testament in the background as history,
Yes.
and then so that prophecy is being fulfilled already, so you can't use it again.
Yes.
But the word is continuous.
Yes. So if that happens, that would make the Bible into a textbook. It has happened already, it cannot happen again. But the Bible is a book of prophecy. So not all prophecies fulfill only once. Exodus 6, verse 7. Read it, please.
And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a Allure. And ye shall know that I am Yahuwah, your Allure, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians.
So the Most High took us out of the Egyptians. Oh, this thing is wrong. It's Ezekiel I should have put. After this, let me get it straightened out. It's Ezekiel. He said E. All right. So, he did that for his people coming out of Egypt. Ezekiel 20:35-36. He's going to do it again. Same thing, he will be my people. Ezekiel 20:35-36. Go ahead, please.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, saith Yahuwah Allure.
So Yahuwah is doing it again. Same thing, different way, but he's doing it again. So prophecies do not only happen once. Ezekiel 37:21-23. Ezekiel 37:21-23. Go ahead, please.
And say unto them, Thus saith Yahuwah Allure, Behold, I will take the children of Yasharel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land.
He's doing it again. He did it out of Egypt, he's doing it again. Verse 22.
And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Yasharel, and one king shall be king to them all.
So they are going to have one king. This one king is the righteous king, the one who we follow. Yahusha HaMashiach. Continue.
And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all.
Continue.
Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their Allure.
So what the Most High has done here, I want us to look at the picture. He's doing the same thing, but he's upgrading it. That's what he did with Moses and Yahusha. He did the same thing. He's sending someone like unto Moses, but he's upgraded. It's very simple. All right? So if all prophecies fulfill at once, by the way, then Babylon is not relevant today. Because what is written in the Bible to happen to Babylon has already happened to Babylon. Jeremiah 51, verse 5 and 6. This has already happened to Babylon. So if it's only one time it's fulfilled, we can tear this out of the Bible and say, oh, that has already been fulfilled. Jeremiah 51, verse 5.
For Yasharel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his Allure, of Yahuwah of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Yasharel.
So we are wasting our time then fleeing out of Babylon. It has already happened. So we are wasting our time. Verse 6.
Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, For this is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense.
So no more vengeance coming. Everything, this happened already, according to these people. Okay? Oh, I realized that I didn't load this. Let me get it going. Okay. All right, so we're going to go now to the books of the Nazarene. Because one thing with those people who say Old Testament only, they are always asking for proof. Always asking, prove this, show this, prove this, show this. What about faith? Remember, Revelation 14:12, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Allah, that is the Torah, and the faith of Yahusha. So where is faith? Where is faith? Because we believe that which we do not see. Let's go to the book of the Nazarene, chapter 8, verse 29, and this is on page 81. Page 81. Verse, what did I say? 29. All right, go ahead, please.
Yahusha then left and returned to the house of Kepha.
Well, Kepha is Peter, yes?
And when he arrived, found several parashim waiting outside.
Pharisees are parishim. Go ahead.
They said, "We hear you have much wisdom. What is the basis of your teaching? What sign can you give of your authority? Or what proof so we can believe?"
You see those words there? What proof so we can believe? The people who only are Torah only, yeah? Where's the faith? You want proof so that you can believe. So probably we'd have to show you the Messiah himself before you believe in a Messiah. Continue.
Moshe provided heavenly bread when our people starved in the wilderness, and by his deeds we know him for a true prophet. A disciple said, he has just healed 4 people, but the parashim replied, there are others who heal. This power is not unique in him.
Continue.
Then Yahusha said, must you have proof and be given signs to believe?
This is the thing. Do we have to have proof and to be given signs to believe? Yeah? Surely. Continue.
Surely this would take all merit from belief.
All right, so we'll be going into the natural then. Because in the natural, you can prove anything, and anything you can prove, you believe. All right? Continue.
As for Moshe, I assure you, he did not provide bread from heaven when he fed those who starved in the wilderness. Through me, Yahuwah will send down the bread of heaven, which nourishes the world.
Therefore,
when working to support yourselves, do not overlook the need for the bread of heaven, which nourishes the Ruach, for man cannot live by mortal bread alone. Strive less for perishable food, and more for the food of eternal life.
no, this food that he's telling us now, this word that he's giving us. Look at the words. People are more concerned. Just look at the words. Let your Ruach be a witness. The bread that he's speaking about is the word. Yeah? Man cannot live by mortal bread alone. So he came with the word of life, the word of truth. So he's telling us to strive less for perishable food. All right? So we believe that which we cannot see. And we are not ashamed of that. Now, the books of the Nazarene, the Yahusha also spoke about the religious people. Because when people are Torah only, you're going to be religious. Because it's not going to come from the Ruach. It's not going to come from emanah, from faith, from believing on that which you cannot see. So you are going to focus on tangible things, things you can see. You're going to focus on worship that you can see and whatever, words that you can see and understand. In the books of the Nazarene, chapter 18, verse 13, page 167. Yahusha told us, verse 13.
Yahusha also told other parables, and when the self-righteous ones and false parashim realized that most were directed against them, they considered ways to silence him.
Well,
But
here's another thing there. Sometimes when you're teaching, and people think the word is directed toward them, and they think that it is evil. Here's Yahusha doing it. Directed the words towards the self-righteous ones and the false parashim. This is just a side note. Continue, but as he was popular
with the people, they decided it would be better to leave him alone.
Continue.
Yahusha taught that the greatest enemies of man and the greatest opposition to the coming rule of Allure were not the obvious evildoers and criminals, but the hypocrites, self-deceivers, and self-centered.
This is what you get from religious people. Hypocrisy, self-deception, and self-centeredness. These are what you get. This is what you get from people who are not converted, whose hearts are not converted, as Yahusha said in John chapter 3. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and you know not from whence it cometh. So it is with everyone that is born of the Ruach. Continue.
Those are the true enemies of men, the festering evil in their midst.
So it's not the so-called wicked man. That's the true ruler, the true enemies of man, and the greatest opposition to the coming kingdom. It is the religious people who are hypocritical, self-deceived, and self-centered. Those are the true enemies of men, the festering evil in their midst. Then he said, Yet they
cannot see themselves for what they are, and have many ways of justifying themselves.
And have many ways of justifying themselves. The sad thing about the religious people, it is that they have so many ways of justifying themselves that they will not accept any wrong, any correction, any changes, nothing. And they will continue in their ways and continue to pollute others. This is why you will be preaching the truth to some people and they will never ever be able to accept it or receive it because they are religious. So another important thing that we need to understand is that the Torah can be wrongfully interpreted. This is a very serious note that we have to say a little thing on. One of the reasons why a Messiah is so important is that the Torah can be wrongfully interpreted. And we need a Messiah, someone who has deep understanding of the Torah, to point us to a proper interpretation. Now, every single person can come with the law. That is why Shaul said in New Testament, don't have any quarrels over the law. Because everybody is going to see the law differently. And that is why Shaul said, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law. So I can go into the law and find mine own righteousness, justify myself by what I find there. But there needs to be one single, solitary, unitary, solo way for us to follow the Most High. Because the Most High's ways is always one way. Okay? Not 2, 3 ways. So the Torah can be wrongfully interpreted. Let's look at the proof in the book of the Nazarene, chapter 7, verses 34 to 54, page 75, verse 34. Let's read this account, 34 to 54.
On another Shabbat, Yahusha came out of the temple to be accosted by a man with a paralyzed arm who said, Master, I am a mason who can no longer be useful and must humiliate myself by begging for food to feed my family. Let me become a whole man again, not for my sake, but for the sake of those depending upon me. Nearby stood some self-righteous members of the congregation who watched closely to see what Yahusha would do. But he, knowing their thoughts, called them over and said, Let me know your views concerning the keeping of the Shabbat.
All right. So the self-righteous people, these are the people who stand and look for errors. They stand and look for errors from people and then criticize, or they will go aside and speak with others. Oh, she's not righteous. Why is she doing this? Or they'll be just watching to snare somebody, just to say, oh, that is unrighteous, that is not righteous. Yeah? Continue. Well, go ahead. Go again.
This is where he exercises his wisdom from the Most High.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to trip him up.
Continue. Should good be done?
Should good be done when it would be uncharitable to leave it undone?
This is a question. Should good be done when it is uncharitable to be done? That is the thing with the Shabbat. Should good be done when it would be uncharitable to leave it undone? Continue.
They said, We abide by the Torah as it is interpreted for us by those knowing better than we.
So you see that? The Torah comes above good. The Torah to them is above good. But what Hamashiach is showing, it is that through the mercy of the Most High, whenever good is to be done, the Most High allows us to do good, even though it may seem to be going against the Torah. So, for example, the Shabbat. Somebody is starving, on the Shabbat, and the person is asking for food. Now, we know we don't buy and sell on the Shabbat, but the person is starving. What do we do? Do we say Torah says we should not buy and sell? No. You go and you get the food. Will the Most High be angry with you for saving a life? No, he won't. He knows that you didn't do it intentionally, but you did it for good through love, through compassion. Yes? That's the idea. But those who are Torah only, they don't have this mercy with them because they reject Hamashiach. So they would reject this. So it would be Torah only. So the person would die. And they would feel good. Yes, he died, but I kept the Torah. Verse 36.
Yahusha became angry and was hurt in his heart for their hard-heartedness and wrongful interpretation of the Torah were indications of their spiritual apathy.
So, in other words, there is provision in the Torah for this. Because if he says it's a wrongful interpretation, that means that there's a right interpretation to get out of it. And they could not get it. That is why we need Yahusha. Yahusha shows us and tells us explicitly that it is good when good is to be done on the Shabbat. We do it. Continue.
So he healed the man's arm. The self-righteous see no wrong in themselves, only in others.
The self-righteous see no wrong in themselves, only in others. That's why I say these are the people who stand and look, trying to snipe people to justify themselves because they feel good within themselves that he is doing this, she is doing this, and I am not. So it's all about the self. It's not about love. It's about love of the self, but not love of the brethren. Continue.
They said, wait, we abide by the...
No. The self-righteous see no wrong. Say it again. Verse 36.
The self-righteous see no wrong in themselves, only in others, and they interpret all things to accord with their own convenience.
So that's the danger with the Torah. Interpreting it to my own convenience. That is why Shaul said, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law. So I can go into the law and come out with mine own righteousness, mine own interpretation. That is why you need Yahusha. Continue.
Then the self-righteous ones left, plotting among themselves, and they decided to become supporters of Herod, who was against Yahusha. They said, let us set a trap for this troublemaker who condemns our ways. He reproaches us for wrongdoing when we simply obey the Torah.
Okay, hold on. He reproaches us for wrongdoing when we simply obey the Torah. You see that verse? Go ahead.
So when he speaks the truth, he becomes a troublemaker.
Yes. So this is not the part that I'm looking at. He reproaches us for wrongdoing when we simply obey the Torah. So they believe that as long as they interpret the Torah and obey the Torah, then they are righteous. Yahusha is showing that there is more to it than that. And that is the importance of Yahusha. So you can't tell them that they're wrong because they're obeying Torah. But they were unmerciful to the man. The man was healed. Eh? The man was healed. You should be celebrating and saying, yeah, no. Why did he heal him on the Shabbat is more important than the fact that he was healed. That's religion for you. Continue.
He reproaches us for wrongdoing when we simply obey the Torah, and accuses us of things which he declares to be sinful, but which are not more than natural weaknesses of men.
So they look on these things as the natural weakness. The natural weakness. The things which he declares to be sinful, but which are not more than natural weaknesses of men. So what they're saying there is that the Torah makes provision for their weaknesses. So we can have weaknesses and we can go on. We are okay. We are good. But what does Yahusha say? Yahusha said we must be perfect. And it's not Yahusha alone who said it. Yahuwah said in, I think, in Exodus, and you shall be kadosh, you shall be holy, for I am holy. So both the Father and the Son are telling us to be perfect. They are saying it is okay because it is my weakness. So we see the error. You see Torah only 38.
He proclaims himself to be the mouthpiece of Eluah. So let us test him and see. Let us find out whether he speaks true or false. We will send men to beat him up and see then whether Eluah comes to his aid. Let other men abuse him and hurl insults at him, heaping every kind of indignity upon him, treating him roughly to test his gentleness. We will heckle him and cause commotion whenever he speaks, and see whether he abides by his own teachings under provocation.
What do we see with this statement, these statements here? We see that these are people who are not converted. There's nothing tender about them. They are just hard, rule-obeying people. They just obey rules, thinking they are justified by the rules that they obey. This is what Shaul was speaking about, and people cannot understand. Many of them who are Old Testament only, they became Old Testament only through Shaul's teachings. They are saying the man is speaking against the law. But this is what Shaul was speaking about. These people are corrupt, getting somebody to beat him up to test him simply because he criticized them. So even with us here, anywhere as believers, wherever you are and people criticize you, and you're going to attack people, it's a problem. You have to compare, you have to look at the Pharisees. That's how they were. They will do anything to get you and go against you just because you criticize them. And that is why in the New Testament it tells you that you must take persecution, affliction, tribulation, trials and testing and everything. If you are able to take that, then you will not be like these men. Because when someone criticizes you, you will go and you will congratulate them, you'll tell them thanks. But here, you are ready to fight, to kill, to embarrass. So that Old Testament only thing, that Old Testament only, it's very unattractive. I don't see how I could come into the way and then be Old Testament only. What change would there be from me then? What change? Just because I obey some rules. I remember my friend Cadian used to speak about some Christians and said that there is no difference between them and sinners. They only sing to a different song. So they will sing gospel songs and the singers will be singing the sinning songs. But she's saying that there's no difference in their behavior. And this is what with people with Old Testament only. No difference in their behavior. Anyway, let's continue. I don't know. That's why I can't even be bothered. They come and they put their comments. And you know that they are in error. And they are so cocky and think that, all right. So the Torah can be wrongfully interpreted. So we need a light to shine on the Torah so we can all interpret it correctly. That's what Yahusha is for. Isaiah 42, verse 21. That's what Yahusha is for, to shine the light on the Torah so we can interpret it correctly. Not 10 of us, and 10 of us have different interpretation. 10 of us living 10 different lives because of what we see in the Torah. Isaiah 42, verse 21.
Yahuwah is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable.
He will magnify the law. This is what Yahusha came for. This is what it was prophesied for. To magnify the law and make it honorable. So to magnify does not mean to tear it down or to throw it away or it is done away with. It means expanding. It's the opposite. So the people who say the law is done away with, it's the opposite. It's not done away. It is magnified to be made honorable. John 8, verse 12. This is the light that shines upon the Torah. This is why Yahusha said this in John 8, verse 12.
Then spake Yahusha again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life.
Shall have the light of life. He is the light of the world because he is the light that shines upon the Torah. So let's go into the book of the Nazarene and see the light that shines upon the Torah. So people, when they come to you with this Torah only, this is going to be rampant in these end times because the Messiah is the time of the anti-Messiah Ruach. Many people are going to come with you against the Messiah. What we do in a teaching like this is to let us understand the Messiah and his importance, that when they come to us with that, we already have such an understanding that it doesn't make any sense. They come to us because we already understand. So chapter 9, page 92, verse 34. Page 92, verse 34.
He that is near me is close to a blazing fire, and may get burned. But he who withdraws from the heat withdraws from heaven.
I tell you, you see this books of the Nazarene? This book is so profound. He that is close to me is close to a blazing fire. And this is one of the reasons why many people leave Hamashiach. When they look at his teachings, they say, boy, this is hard. So they look at Shaul. Hey, Shaul seems to be talking foolishness. You know what? If Shaul is talking foolishness, then the whole New Testament is foolishness. Let's run. And they run and go to Torah and set up their own righteousness, which is of the law. Very sad. So you may get burned, but he who withdraws from the heat withdraws from Shamayim. So when they run and go to the Old Testament only, they have withdrawn from their any chance of a salvation. That's what it's saying. Without Hamashiach, there's no salvation. Continue.
Some have said, the yoke of the Torah sits heavy on our shoulders. But I tell you, I come not to lighten, but to magnify the responsibility.
You see that? So those who are saying that the law is done away with, it's the opposite. They tricked you. Satan tricked you through his prized number one religion, the religion of Christianity. He says, I come not to lighten, but to magnify the responsibility. Continue.
Moshe brought the Torah, which says not to kill. But I say, any who releases anger on his brother without just cause shall not escape judgment.
So look at the beauty of Yahusha's statement there. The Torah says, do not kill. But if you release anger on your brother without just cause, yes, that can lead you to kill. But if you don't do it, then you end up obeying the Torah that says do not kill. You see? So you still obey the Torah, but there are added responsibilities that come with it that make you more perfect. In the Torah, if you do not kill, if you do not murder, you are good. Yes? But you can be angry with your brother without just cause and still justify yourself that you are right. Yeah? Oh boy. Continue. Chapter 7, verses 20 to 21, page 72. Chapter 7, verses 20 to 21, page 72. Let me get it on the screen. Go ahead.
One of the Perishim, who was nearby, said to Yahusha, we understand your meaning, but where do you stand in relation to the Torah? Have you come to take it away or declare it obsolete?
So, Old Testament only now. We just saw an example of how the Old Testament only can actually make you into a sinful person. And just listening to one of what Yahusha says can make you a better person. Because if you are not angry with your brother without a cause, you will be in more righteousness. You don't need a rocket science to tell you that if you are angry with your brother without cause, compare it to not being angry with your brother without cause, that it is a better way that Yahusha gave us. All right? So let's see what he says in relation to Torah, verse 21.
Yahusha replied, no one patches an old cloak with new fabric, for this shows up its age without strengthening it. Likewise, no sensible person puts new wine into old wineskins, for this causes them to split.
Yes.
The wine pouring out, so neither the wine nor the wineskins have any value. Is it not much wiser to put new wine into new wineskins?
All right, so let us hear this now.
I have come to place something beside that which is already there, to hold a mirror to the Torah and to man, so both may be seen with greater clarity.
So, Messiah was pro-Torah, but he came to put something beside it to magnify it so that we can see the Torah with greater clarity and we can see man with greater clarity. Because with Yahusha's teachings, that is how we see imperfections in people. If, for example, this group was Torah only, man, you would see a whole lot of righteous people. A whole lot of right, because we could do almost anything. And when I do something, I'll say, show me it in Torah. Show me where Torah says I cannot do this. Yes? So I'd be hurling expletives, bad word, as we say in Jamaica. And I'd say, show me where in the Torah it says we cannot curse this. Yeah? Things like those. But Yahusha came to make us, our unrighteousness be revealed to us and to others so that we can change. And also for us to see the Torah more clearly. All right, chapter 9, page 93, verse 41. Chapter 9, page 93, verse 41. Are you there yet? Yes.
I have not come to abolish the Torah or to change the teachings of the prophets,
Neither the Torah nor the prophets, but to
complete them, adding any necessary clarification and interpreting them to the understanding of men.
So what is wrong with this? What is wrong with this that we have to be going around from channel to channel? This man is a lie, it's a deception. Yes, there was no New Testament. It was added by the Gentiles. It was this and it was that. I have not come to abolish the Torah or to change the teachings of the prophets, but to complete them, adding any necessary clarification and interpreting them to the understanding of men, to give us greater understanding. But, continue.
But the time has come to ask, when will they be put into practice? When will men bring Yahuwah out of the temple and make him a participant in their daily lives? When will men carry these things in their hearts and stop paying them lip service?
That's the power of Yahusha. So we know the Torah, we hear the Torah. He said, when will they be put in practice? When will these become a part of your lives? When will you take them out of the temple? You see this temple thing here? It's a dangerous thing. That is why I love the set-apart assembly. It's not based on any building. It's the same thing with the church. Christians tell you it's a sin if you don't go to church. You have to go to church to be saved. All of that. The Jews believe in their synagogue. The Muslims in their mosques. All of those people bringing Yahuwah in the temple, dwelling in the temple. That is where, in Christianity, they say this is God's house. We're going into the house of God. So it is, even though Yahuwah says he does not dwell in places built with hands. Yeah? And I love Yahusha. Yahusha said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, I'm right there in your midst. Yeah? So it's spiritual. So Yahusha was sent for people to carry the Torah in their heart. And we're going to look at the verse in the prophets that relates to that. All right? Verse 42.
I say with certainty, so long as earth and the heavens above it remain, not even the smallest particle shall be deducted from the Torah until the purpose it serves has been completed. Therefore, if anyone try to avoid even the least obligation imposed by the Torah, or to set aside the slightest of its restrictions, or teach others to do the same, he will be an insignificant thing in the life to come.
All right. So you were speaking about this insignificant thing. Could you explain again what you were saying about this? He will be an insignificant thing in the life to come. Jeremy.
Yeah, so when we talked about Matthew 5:19, you look at the translations, many of the common translations, and it talks about whoever teaches people to do the commandment or not to do the commandments of the Most High will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But when you read throughout Scripture, that doesn't line up with what we know the Word says. You can't teach people to break the commandments and still get into heaven. Anyone doing that will not be getting in.
Yeah.
So that ideology from Matthew 5:19, whatever scripture or word put there, is error. But what we see here in Nazarene, it says an insignificant thing in the life to come. That's not what it says in the other translations. If you read in KJV and other translations, it says in the kingdom. But what I saw, when I looked up, I saw that with that, there's an older manuscript for the New Testament, which were written around the 1200s. And what it says instead of in the kingdom is from the kingdom. And the implication of that is a little different, because instead of them being in the kingdom as someone small or insignificant, rather they're outside because they're not from there, because they're teaching others to break it.
Okay.
So when they say here in Nazarene that whoever teaches not to do anything in the Torah will be an insignificant thing, it's like something you don't value. It's like dross or the spit from a bucket. That's not something you value. So an insignificant thing in the life to come is something you throw away. Like
Yes.
people or something, grass into the fire, things like that.
All right. This Books of the Nazarene, by the way, I want you to read it if you have not read it. And if you read this and believe that this is forged or whatever, then you need to go become a Muslim or follow Christianity or one of the other religion. Because it means that the Ruach is not with you. Yeah? The Ruach will be a witness, prove all things. And you will see that these words, as we said the other day, that these words could not just be written by man. They were inspired. But whoever lives by them,
But whoever lives by them, leading others to do likewise, will achieve the greatest heights of splendor.
all right. So we are page 9, we were at verse 41. Where are we? Oh, yes. So we have page 134, chapter 14, verse 25. Page 134. This book here called the Nazarene. Boy, I tell you. Verse 25.
Speaking to those who had spoken previously, Yahushas said, Woe to you, self-deceivers, who are false interpreters of the Torah.
So leave people on their own. If they are false deceivers, they're going to wrongfully interpret Torah. And then nobody can tell them that they are wrong. Because the Torah gives you so much space, so much room to make your own decision. Continue.
You are like unmarked graves, which men walk over in innocence, unaware they are being defiled. Yet nothing from outside can never enter into a man and sully his soul. It is what festers within him which comes out to reveal his uncleanness.
All right, so whatever is in him, that will come out in his action. So, why would someone want to reject this light? Why would someone want to reject Yahusha HaMashiach? That is the question. Why would I want to reject it? And the answer, of course, is the sinful nature. In the book of Romans, chapter 7, from verse 7, Shaul wrote a brilliant piece to show the sinful nature of man. And he also showed the connection between the law and sin. This is the fundamental reason why you have Old Testament only people rejecting HaMashiach. And when they reject HaMashiach, they are dead. They don't realize that they are dead. Because the body and the spirit is what is important. And when the body is ruling, the spirit has no chance. Yes, but with HaMashiach, if we are walking in HaMashiach, then our Ruach, our spirit, has the opportunity to rule over the body. Romans 7, verse 7.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Allure forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet.
So the law is there to show us what sin is. Basically, it is there to show us what sin is. It is there to show us what we must do, what is good, what is bad. And it is also there to show us the judgment if we commit these things. Okay? So that's the value of the Torah. Verse 8.
But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. For without the law, sin was dead.
I tell you that Shaul is so intelligent. So he says, sin taking occasion by the commandment. So you hear, thou shalt not covet. Yes? Something in you starts to stir up for you to covet. That's what Shaul is going to tell us. Wrought in me all manner of concupiscence. So by the commandments, all manner, because everything that the commandment says, your body is stirred up to do the opposite. For without the law, sin was dead. So before the law came in to say, thou shalt not do this, then there was no thou shalt. So everything was okay because there's no law. Verse 9.
For I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, sin revived, and I died.
So people now, for example, say you are a sinner, you're following the way. You do what you want to do. But when you get the commandment, it says sin revived. It stirs up sin in you. Verse 10.
And the commandment, which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death.
For sin,
For sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and by it slew me. Wherefore, the law is set apart, and the commandment set apart, and just and good.
so there's nothing wrong with the law. There's nothing wrong with the commandment. So where's the problem? Verse 13.
Was then that which is good made death unto me? Allure forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful.
All right, so sin has to show up himself. Because the wages of sin is death. So sin has to show up himself. So when the law says, don't do this, there's something that's stirred up inside of us that says, do it. Verse 14.
For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin.
Oh, so that's my problem. My problem is I am carnal. I am sold under sin because the wages of sin is death. And when Adam transgressed, as a descendant of Adam, we all inherited that nature of sin. Verse 15.
For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I.
All right, so this is a thing in man. What you want to do, you find it very hard to do it. What you don't want to do, you find it very easy to do. Now, if you have this trait and you're saying Old Testament only, then you need Hamashiach. Because it's only through faith, believing in Hamashiach, you can overcome this sinful nature of your flesh. Continue.
If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me.
There we go. It's the sin that is in us that is causing us to sin. Verse 18.
For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not.
The heart is desperately wicked. Remember that. In me, in my flesh, there dwells no good thing. So how can I get a bunch of rules and laws and be looking at them and saying, okay, And these are holy laws. He says the commandment is holy and just and good. And I get these set apart commandments. And guess what? I take them up now and said, you know what? I am going to obey those. No, your sinful nature is going to fight against it. Because Hasatan is there, trying to lead you off. Your sinful nature is there, trying to lead you off. You need help. Continue.
I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of Yahuwah after the inward man.
I delight in the Torah, but
I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members.
O wretched man that I am.
O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank Yahuwah through Yahushua HaMashiach, our Master. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of Yahuwah, but with the flesh, the law of sin.
All right, so what is he saying here? He delights in the law, 22. He delights in the law. But there is another law there, bringing him into captivity to the law of sin, which is in his mind, warring against the law of his mind. So his mind our minds want to obey. But there's another law in us that is the law that is in the flesh. So we have in the mind, and our mind there as believers, we want to obey, we want to walk in righteousness, right? But there is a law that is the flesh that is warring against your mind. So in your mind, you intend to walk in righteousness. The flesh says, what do you think you're doing? No, you got to please me. And so there is this rebellion. So when you're Torah only, you have this rebellion. The only way to overcome it is through Yahushua HaMashiach and his teachings. And back in the days, the Most High would, in the Bible here, it says in, let me explain something to you. Because people would say, but what about the people of the Old Testament? What about the people in the Old Testament? I'm trying to find this about Noah. So they would say, what about the Old Testament? People were righteous then. Noah was righteous. It's in Genesis 7. I'm trying to find that.
If you read the stories of
Yeah.
Which one? If you read the book of Job, and if you read about Abraham, you'd see that they not only follow Torah outright, they follow what Yahushua Mashiach did. They had the same character. They were doing the same thing as he did. Look at, for instance, Job. He take the people in his house, feeding them.
Yes.
And even when they come and beat him up and do things, he didn't retaliate. He didn't do anything to them. He just took it. And
Yes.
so he was being like Hamashiach back then.
Yes.
So that's why they were called righteous.
Yes. Very important there. Noah, what's his name? No, Abraham. Yeah, was found faithful.
Abraham walked by faith. By Yahuwah says, do, and he just get up and do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Genesis 7:1. That's the one I've been looking for so long. Read it, please.
And Yahuwah said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation.
In where?
In this generation.
In
this generation.
this generation. The Most High's righteousness is shown according to the generations. In our generation, he expects us to have the righteousness of Yahusha. So being righteous like Noah now would count for nothing before the Most High. That is why he gave the Torah then, and there were people who were righteous in the Torah. Now, he gave us Yahusha. We have to have the righteousness, the perfection of Yahusha. And to make it worse, Babylon makes us even more sinful in our captivity. Babylon makes the world even more sinful. So we cannot just get up just like that and easily say we are obeying the Torah. No, the world is polluted. The world is corrupted. Jeremiah 51 verse 7, Babylon makes us even more sinful in our captivity. Jeremiah 51 7.
Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad.
So the Most High has Babylon, or used Babylon, to make the earth drunken. And we know drunken there means blinded, means they don't even know where they're walking, where they're going. Okay? Because the Most High wants to keep the nations astray, away from him. Because he only chose one nation. And all the other nations, he gave Babylon to lead them astray from him. When we went into Babylonian captivity, sad to say, we now became partakers of the things that were given to the nations. So we too were blinded in our captivity. Revelation 18:1-2, again, Babylon makes us even more sinful in our captivity.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his splendor. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul ruach, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
These are devils. The habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. These are demons. This is the Babylon that we grew up in. This is the Babylon that most of us live in. So we need help. Help. So the law shows us what is right or wrong and the judgments for transgressing. Let's go to Romans 7:7 again. Shows us right or wrongs and the judgments for transgressing. Romans 7 verse 7, just to emphasize that. One verse.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Allure forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet.
All right. So the law shows us what is right and wrong and shows us the judgment for transgressing. Okay. So let's go now to 2 Ezra 9:29-37. The same thing. 2 Ezra 9:29. Go ahead, please.
O Yahuwah, thou that showest thyself unto us, thou hast showed unto our fathers. Thou wast showed unto our fathers in the wilderness, in a place where no man treadeth, in a barren place, when they came out of Egypt. And thou spakest, saying, Hear me, O Yasharel, and mark my words, thou seed of Jacob. For behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and ye shall be honored in it forever. But our fathers, which received the law, kept it not, and observed not thy ordinances. And though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine. Yet they that received it perished, because they kept not the thing that was sown in them. And lo, it is a custom, when the ground hath received seed, or the sea a ship, or any vessel, meat or drink, that being perished, wherein it was sown or cast into, that thing also which was sown or cast therein, or received, doth perish, and remaineth not with us, but with us it hath not happened so.
For we,
For we that have received the law perish by sin, and our heart also which received it. Notwithstanding, the law perisheth not, but remaineth in his force.
so the law was given to us, to our people, but we kept it not. Yahushua HaMashiach is there to help us to keep it. That's why it was sent into him. The law was sown in our hearts, but it did not germinate. It was not brought to fruition. Nevertheless, the law did not perish, but it is us who perish if we are not able to keep the law. So the law shows us what is right and wrong, or the judgments thereof. That's the Torah. That's the Torah. Now look, the New Testament shows us how to walk in obedience by transforming ourselves. That's what the New Testament is for. How to walk in agreements. You have the Torah here. The New Testament is to get us to be able to walk in obedience to the same Torah by transforming our lives. It's not looking at some rules and obeying them. It's being transformed to become more perfect human beings, built on love, true love of the Most High, with all our heart, minds, and soul, and loving our neighbors, love of our neighbors as ourselves. So, let's look at this principle in the New Testament. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17.
Therefore, if any man be in Hamashiach, he
is a new creature. Old things
are passed away. Behold, all things are become new.
This is just for us to walk out the Torah, people. This is a transformation that takes place. We become a new creature, a new creation. Old things are passed away. All the old messy things that used to happen to us. Hey. No. All the messy things that used to happen to us have passed away. Now this new creature can now keep the Torah. Very simple. Galatians 5, 16 to 24. This is the spiritual aspect of it, not the natural aspect. The spiritual aspect, when we are changed into spiritual beings. Galatians 5, 16 to 24.
This I say then, walk in the Ruach, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
Remember Romans 7. Remember Romans 7 told us about, where's Yazzie? Huh? Man, it needs to be hearing these things. Remember Romans 7 told us about the sinful nature, led by the lust of the flesh. This says, walk in the Ruach, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So the flesh will be lusting, but you need the Ruach. That is where Yahusha comes in. Verse 17.
For the flesh lusteth against the Ruach, and the Ruach against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would.
So this is a battle between the Ruach and the flesh. When you are with a Mashiach, the Ruach is heightened. Yes, when you become a new creature, a new creation, and able to overcome the flesh in this battle. Verse 18.
But if ye be led of the Ruach, you are not under the law.
In other words, if you are led of the Ruach, if the Ruach of the Most High is leading you, you are not going to sin. the law is not going to have dominion over you. You are going to be able to walk in the righteousness of the law. Very simple. Verse 19.
Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness.
Now, these are all the things that we'll be walking in if we are led by our flesh. If our flesh is leading us, no matter how we say we are believers and obeying this and that, all of these, one or more of these are going to grab us. Continue in verse 20.
Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah.
You see that? Look how many of them there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And it doesn't end there. And it says, and such like. Yes? 17 and such like. So many traps when we are walking in the flesh. But when we are walking in the Ruach, when we are walking with Yahusha, verse 22.
But the fruit of the Ruach is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
There is no law against these. So when you're walking in these, there is no law against it. So guess what? You'll be walking in what? Perfect righteousness. This is what Yahusha is for. And you are saying, no, we must not follow him. Romans 8, verse 1. Romans 8, verse 1. I tell you, boy, we can't do without Hamashiach. Verse 1.
There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Hamashiach Yahusha, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach.
No, these are things that why they despise Shaul. Because their beloved law, through which they can be justified in their sin, in their sinful nature, rather, Shaul is telling you the truth about it. Verse 2.
For the law of the Ruach of life in Hamashiach Yahusha hath made me free from the law of sin and death.
The law of sin and death is not calling the law of sin and death. The law of sin and death is what he described in Romans 7 when he says that there is something in him that always wants to make him sin. Yes, he sees a law inside of me working against the law of my mind. That is that law that dwells within us. Verse 3.
For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, Yahuwah sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh.
So the law was weak through the flesh. That's what he's saying. So when you see when you get the laws, you cannot easily obey them because it does not strengthen your ruach. It just gives you something that you need to do or need to not do. Yahuwah sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh. Anava, see if we can move that. Yeah. Condemned sin in the flesh. Verse 4.
That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach.
You see? That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach. So Yahusha leading us through his Ruach, will lead us to obey the Torah. Verse 6.
For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahuwah, for it is not subject to the law of Yahuwah.
So I say I'm keeping the Torah, but my mind is carnal. It is saying that I cannot be subject to the law. That means I will always be breaking the law. And I will not be able to please the Most High. In verse 8.
So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahuwah.
Cannot please Yahuwah. So we have to be in the Ruach. So let's look at a few of the claims. Slide it up. A few of the claims. They claim that New Testament is idolatry. And this, of course, they were spoiled by Christianity. Christianity did a number on us with this one. Because the Gentiles, they took the scriptures of the Hebrews, made it into their book, called it the Bible, and the Messiah that is in there worshipped him as an idol. Now, when we got this, yes, most of us started in Christianity, we started to worship this idol. Until we got the fullness of it, the Most High gave us the understanding that this is the part of the curses of the law, to worship other gods that we were given. But he gave us precepts to show that there was a Messiah, but his name was not Jesus Christ, and he was not having many of the attributes that they gave us. So, because the Christian Messiah is an idol, what they do, they say, whatever you want to call him, you call him Jesus, you call him Yeshua, you call him Yahushas, same thing. So they try to put them in the same barrel. But we know that Yahusha is totally the opposite of JC. Opposite. So many attributes. Yes? The Yahusha that I follow, and we don't worship him, we follow him. We follow his examples, his teachings. The Yahusha that I follow has a father, and his father was Joseph, virgin birth, another one of the pagan things that came from Christianity. Worshipping the Trinity, another pagan thing. Worshipping the Messiah as the Most High. Yahusha is Yahuwah as they do. We don't do that either. So many different things. Yahusha will be coming back for the children of Yasharal to rule the earth with them. We don't believe in a Messiah who is coming to, to rapture us. So many different things. Messiah is for Yasharal and will be coming back to enslave the other nations. It's not Jesus. We have a different Messiah. So Isaiah 42 verse 19. Let's go to Isaiah 42 verse 19. Go ahead.
Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as Yahuwah's servant?
So this is just showing us prophecies of the Messiah, that the Messiah was Yahuwah's servant. He was his messenger. Okay? And that is how we look at him. The messenger of Yahuwah, the servant of Yahuwah. He is our brother from the tribe of Yehudah. Matthew 19, verse 16. So they try to make it look as if we are in idolatry if you follow this man. Matthew 19, 16.
And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do, that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahuwah. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandment.
This is the Yahusha that I follow. The one who tells us to keep the commandment, but also the one that says there is only one good that is Alua. That means he's saying that he is not Alua. So we are not into this idolatry. The Yahusha that we are presenting, not this idolatry. John 7:42. John 7:42. We are not into idolatry. Go ahead.
Hath not the scripture said that Hamashiach cometh of the seed of David, and out of the town of Bethlehem, where David was?
Hamashiach cometh of the seed of David. Of the seed of David. What does seed mean? The word seed is the Greek word sperma. And that should G4690. That alone tells everything. Sperma. Something sown, that is seed, including the male sperm. So Yahusha came from the sperm, the lineage of David. By implication, offspring, specifically a remnant, figuratively as if kept over for planting. Issue, seed. So Yahusha is the seed of David. So he is the descendant of David. Romans 1 verse 3. So we have all of that. Let's hear Shaul now, because the Christians use Shaul as kind of their demigod. Let's hear what their Shaul actually said.
Concerning his son, Yahusha HaMashiach, our master, which was made of the seed of David, according to the flesh.
Which was made of the seed of David, according to the what? Flesh. That means that in the flesh he was descended from David. That is what we believe. Verse 4.
And declared to be the son of Alua.
Declared with power. Because the power that he showed, it was declared by others to be the son of Alua. Continue.
According to the Ruach of holiness, by the resurrection from the dead.
All right, so that is why they declared him. The Ruach of holiness by the resurrection of the dead. Okay? So we don't believe in an idol at all. Books of the Nazarene, chapter 6. Let's hear him say it. Page 58. Verse, what did I say? Verses 3 to 4. Read it, please. So this is the Yahusha that we follow. He was a man, 100% man. Verse 3.
When younger, Yahusha had been overawed by the prospects of the future, and often fearful that he might not fulfill the promise. But he overcame this and any fears of his inability. It is in this and his dedication that his greatness was revealed.
So he was overawed. He was fearful that he might not fulfill the promise. This is a man right here. If he was the Most High coming, why would he be fearful of not being able to overcome his promise? If he was the Most High, how can the Most High be fearful? What is the Most High going to fear? Verse 4.
Though Yahusha wielded the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah, and in him it was stored up as in a water tank, he still had to overcome the weaknesses of men.
He was a man, so he had to overcome the weaknesses of a man. Continue.
For without so doing, his greatness could not be made manifest. Those who say he was something other than man detract from his greatness. For then the things he had to do would have been easier to accomplish.
So if he was a demigod, as they say, if he was the Most High, or in a trinity with the Most High, then it would be easy for him to accomplish what he did. He had to be 100% man to show us what man can do. Continue, perhaps, to show us what man can do.
Perhaps they cannot comprehend the heights to which men can rise when inspired by Yahuwah,
The Father of all men. The Father of what? All men. Yahusha was a man. People cannot comprehend the heights to which men can rise when inspired by Yahuwah. That is why the Christians will tell you, no, we have to sin. We are all sinners. All have sinned and come short. None of them try to emulate and be like Yahusha. Oh, we are all sinners. We all have to sin. We cannot be perfect. They cannot comprehend the heights to which men can rise when inspired by Yahuwah, the Father of all men. All right, another thing they say is that the New Testament is a doctrine based on errors. Yeah? So they will point out certain errors. There are errors, of course, in the Torah as well, in the Old Testament. But they will point to the errors in the New Testament and say these are errors. Example, even the interpretation of the prophecies. They are saying there's wrong interpretation of the prophecies in the New Testament. Yeah? But guess what? Yahuwah made it so. There's a few verses that we use over and over again, which tell us. We know Deuteronomy 28:36 tells us that we will serve other gods that our fathers never knew. But also in the book of Isaiah, it tells us about the stumbling stone that the Most High has laid. The stumbling stone. And it tells us that we will be deceived by foreigners, and we will be given precept upon precept, line upon line, to get us the understanding. So, to understand the New Testament, you have to understand the Old Testament. That is why Peter said in 2 Peter 3:15-16 that Shaul is hard to be understood, and those who are unlearned and unstable will rest with his words. Unlearned in the Torah, unstable in the entire word. All right? So let's go to Isaiah 28:9-17 to show why the New Testament might be a little difficult for many of us. The Most High told us, Isaiah 28, verses 9-17. Go ahead.
Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
All right. The word stammering there is the Hebrew word laeg, which means a buffoon, an idiot. Also a foreigner, mocker, stammering. So with the lips of a foreigner, because he says, and another tongue. Another tongue there means another language. So with the lips of a foreigner and another language, he will speak to these people. That is why we were given the Greek New Testament. And he told us in Isaiah 28 how we are going to be able to solve the problem. Precept must be upon precept. So we getting the New Testament as it is prophesied. It doesn't mean that it is wrong. It is just telling us what the Most High will do. And he tells us why in verse 12, why he gave it. Verse 12.
To whom he said, this is the rest, wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear.
They would not hear. They don't want to hear. So because of that, he says, you know what? I'm going to let some idiot foreigners speak to you. But I'm going to let you know how to understand it. But if you don't know how to understand it, if you are disobedient, then this is going to happen to you. Verse 13, if you are disobedient.
But the word of Yahuwah was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken.
So as a result now, because of that now, this is what I do. This is the Messiah he's telling us about. He just told us how he's going to present the Messiah. Now he's telling us about the Messiah. Verse 14.
Wherefore, hear the word of Yahuwah, ye scornful men, that rule this people which is in Jerusalem. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood we have hid ourselves.
So when we are hiding in lies and falsehood, Yahusha will expose them. Verse 16.
Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah Eluah, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste.
This is the Messiah. This is the Messiah. And in the book of 1 Peter, chapter 2, verses 5 to 12, I'll let you go where we can. He tells us and confirms that this is referring to the Messiah. 1 Peter 2, verse 5. Go ahead.
Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house, and set apart priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices, acceptable to Eluah, by Yahushua HaMashiach. Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded.
All right. Now he's going to tell us the same principle now. Remember in Isaiah 28, it tells you that he's going to teach doctrine and he's going to use precept upon precept for those who are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Then he tells you, on the other hand, there are going to be some of those that will be destroyed. Peter here is going to tell us the same principle. Verse 7.
Unto you, therefore, which believe he is precious.
All right. Continue.
But unto them which be disobedient, the stones which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner, and a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed.
They were appointed. Now in verse 9, he went on to speak about the royal priesthood, which is Exodus 19, verses about 5 to 6, the confirmation of that. Let's go to Exodus 19, verses 5 to 6 to get the confirmation, to show that this is speaking about the Torah.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests,
Royal priesthood.
and a set apart nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yasharel.
So Kepha is going to confirm this in verse 9, 1 Peter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen.
But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and set apart nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
Continue.
which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of Eluah, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy.
So it's showing us the new covenant in Yahusha, how it brings us to be the people of the Most High. And in verse 11, read it please.
Dearly beloved, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may, by your good works, which they shall behold, exalt Eluah in the day of visitation.
So this is the purpose of Yahusha again, to keep us to abstain from fleshly lust, and for there to be good works because of our good conscience, so that we can walk in righteousness to the Most High's Torah. Okay? So, another thing is that the New Testament is a Gentile lie. The New Testament is a Gentile lie. Lamentations 1 verse 10 tells us what the Gentiles do, because we know that the Gentiles had the scriptures and they were the ones who gave us the New Testament and the Old Testament as well, their translation. They are where we get it from. So there's a claim that the New Testament is a Gentile lie. There's no such claim about the Old Testament. There is about the New. But we have to understand what the Gentiles do when they have access to the scriptures. Lamentations 1 verse 10. What the Gentiles do? Go ahead.
The adversary hath spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things, for she hath seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary, whom thou didst command, that they should not enter into thy congregation.
So the heathen entered into the sanctuary. All the manuscripts are there in the sanctuary. So they took out the manuscripts, and then they took it, had it for themselves, and translated it for themselves. 1 Maccabees 3, 45 to 48. We have to look at what the Gentiles do. 1 Maccabees 3, 45 to 48. I'm going to use the bathroom and come back. You can't hold it. Also, for those who are online, we're going to pause for a short break.
Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together, and came to Maspha over against Jerusalem. For in Maspha was the place where they prayed aforetime in Yasharel. Then they fasted that day, and put on sackcloth, and cast ashes upon their heads, and rent their clothes, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
That's why we got a white Jesus. The heathen have always tried to paint the likeness of their images into the Torah. So that is why whenever you see any old Bible that they have, it's nothing but white people. The Jehovah's Witnesses publication, white people. The Seventh-day Adventist publication, white people. Who else has publication? All of them, white people. The movies, white people. They have painted over the likeness of their images. Our images to have the likeness of their images. So what they do when they take over, they just come and they take over totally. They take the manuscripts, they translate it, put in the names of their gods, then paint their images, give us a white god. Everything changed. Change up some of the doctrines. Everything now took our things and made it their own. People, this is a principle of the Gentiles. They took they set up a place that they call Israel. And they put some white people in it, in the likeness of their images, and say, these are the children of Israel. Lies. So when we see them doing these things, we know and understand how they operate. So we don't become suspicious and say, oh, this is this. We get the understanding because the Most High is generous to us and has given us the understanding. Jeremiah 8, verse 8. Jeremiah 8, verse 8. And we look at it in the English Standard Version. Because it's more clearer than the King James Version. Read it, please.
How can you say we are wise?
Let me get English Standard. Yeah, go ahead now.
How can you say we are wise, and the law of Yahuwah is with us? But behold,
The lying pen of the scribes has made it into a lie. So here's another reason now. The lying pen of the scribes. When they are, or were translating it, they put in their lying pen. They're putting their lies for us to believe what they want us to believe. So when you see certain things and lies might be in the New Testament, that is that. But what the Most High gave us, Isaiah 28, 9 to 13, that said precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line upon line, here a little, there a little. It is precept upon precept that's made us get to understand the virgin birth lie. Not only history, whereby the nations, so many nations have this virgin birth in all of their pagan thing. Not only that, but precept upon precept makes us be able to pinpoint that it has to be a lie. Okay? Yeah. So the bottom line is the Most High promised us his messenger. So why, when the messenger came and they're saying he's the messenger, why is he not the messenger? Malachi 3, verses 1 to 5. The Most High promised us a messenger. Malachi 3, verses 1 to 5.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me.
That's John the Baptist, by the way.
And Yahuwah, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come in, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth.
Oh, guess what? I'm still in English Standard Version, so I got lost, wondering where you were. All right, read it again, please.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And Yahuwah, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come to his temple.
All right, so that word there, Yahuwah, who we speak, this is not Yahuwah. If we go to the meaning, it is Adon, which they will translate as Lord. Okay? But it is the Master whom ye seek, even the messenger of the covenant. Who is the messenger of the covenant? Yahushua HaMashiach. So Yahushua HaMashiach. So here it is now. I will send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me. That's John the Baptist. And the Master whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple. This is Yahushua HaMashiach. even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in, behold, he shall come, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth. Verse 2.
But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like the refiner's fire, and like the fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Yahuwah an offering in righteousness.
All right, so continue. So the purification, of course, is a spiritual purification. Because remember, in Jeremiah 31, it tells you about that he will give us a new heart and that the law will be written in our hearts. All right, so this is a spiritual purification. Continue.
Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto Yahuwah, as in the days of old, and as in the former years. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. And fear not me, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth.
All right, so that is the promise of the Messiah. So the messenger is to help us, is to help get us to perfection in the Torah. We keep saying it over and over again. Jeremiah 31, verse 33. Jeremiah 31, verse 33.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharel. After those days, saith Yahuwah, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their Eluah, and they shall be my people.
And this is the spiritual covenant that we are speaking about. Okay, this is Yahushua HaMashiach coming in this covenant. Matthew 19, 16 to 22. Go ahead.
And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do, that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Eluah. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. He saith unto him, Which? Yahushas said, Thou shalt do no murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Honor thy father and thy mother. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
All right, continue.
The young man saith unto him, All these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet?
So this man was keeping the Torah from he was a youth. But he says, what lack I yet? So he knows that something is deficient. And why would he know that something is deficient? Let me see if someone is thinking. Why would this young man know that something is deficient, that he lacked something? Somebody? Come on. Come on.
Because you can't be perfected by the law.
Yes, that is the conclusion, but more specific.
Mashiach. He saw the works of a Mashiach and realized that he was lacking because he couldn't do those things.
That's one thing. But guess what? We spoke about the sinful nature. So he would know himself and realize that he's deficient and realize that I cannot walk in righteousness. I cannot walk out, as Amikai said, he saw Hamashiach. I cannot walk like these men. Why are these men able to walk in such righteousness and do such great things? Why? And this is the Torah. The Torah needs Yahusha. We are going to be lacking. We are going to be lacking. Continue.
Yahushas said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me.
What a splendid thing here. Why? How can you fight against these things? This is goodness right here. He's telling to do. Go and sell what you have to poor, and come, what you have and give to the poor, and come and follow me. Come and follow me in the goodness and in righteousness. Verse 22.
But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions.
So this young man knew that he was lacking, was told what he was lacking, but he couldn't measure up. So he went away. So what is he going to do? Continue keeping his Torah without Yahusha. It's very sad. Anyway, this is the last topic that we have coming from the books of the Nazarene. We're just going to look at some of the things that Yahusha accepts and what he rejects. And the question is, are these things that Yahusha accepts and rejects unrighteous? For those people who are saying Old Testament only, are these things now? I want you to look at this. Are these things unrighteous? Because we're going to show you why we believe in following Yahusha. Page 88, chapter 9, starting at verse 6 of the books of the Nazarene. Page 88, starting at verse 6. Let me see verse 6. Verse 6 would be on page 87. Yeah, verse 6 is on page 87. Sorry.
These are the people I support and accept, and this is the message I give to them. For I have come to unsheathe the sword of the Ruach among men, and to lead them forth to fight the battles of Eluah. The sword is the Ruach, even as the body is the sheath. Let your swords be bright and keen for the fray. Be staunch and resolute, and the rule of Eluah will surely sweep all wickedness and evil, all pain and distress from the face of the earth.
Let's hear who he accepts.
I accept the oppressed and dispirited, for they shall inherit splendor in the kingdom of the Ruach.
So what is wrong with this? The oppressed and dispirited will inherit splendor in the kingdom of the Ruach. Verse 8.
I accept those who grieve, for they should not be without a comforter. Is it not written, Let the words of Yahuwah be an unquenchable light within you, and they will shorten your days of sorrow.
I accept those who grieve, for they should not be without a comforter. What is wrong with this? This is compassion. This is compassion. Verse 9.
I accept the disinherited, for they shall inherit the earth. Is it not written, The disinherited shall be joyful amid bounty and peace?
And some of these scriptures here, it is written. When you look for them, you cannot find them. That means that there are more other scriptures that many people have not yet found. Verse 10.
I accept those who hunger after enlightenment, for they shall be satisfied. Is it not written, The pleasures of the food table sit heavily on the stomach, but wisdom fills the heart with satisfaction and content?
11.
I accept the compassionate, for they shall be compensated.
Yes.
Is it not written, He who has compassion builds a fountain of consolation for his time of need?
Verse 12.
I accept the pure-hearted, for their nature draws them closer to Eluah. Is it not written, He whose hands and heart are clean receive the fullest measure of the power of the Ruach?
If you notice, all of these things that we've been looking at so far, these are spiritual states that men are in. Oppressed and dispirited, spiritual. Grieving, spiritual. Disinherited, can be physical and spiritual. Those who hunger after enlightenment, spiritual. The compassionate, spiritual. The pure-hearted, Spiritual. Verse 13, the peacemakers.
I accept the peacemakers, for they are truly the heirs of Yahuwah.
Spiritual. Continue.
Is it not written, listen, my children, and I will teach you the ways that are good, causing you to seek for peace and maintain it. I accept those who suffer in the cause of mankind, for on them shall fall the mantle of splendor in the kingdom of the Ruach. Is it not written, when they scorned and abused me, I was strengthened by the Ruach of Yahuwah, and nothing now can dismay me.
Ah, boy, you see, those who suffer in the cause of mankind, all of these are righteousness, righteousness, righteousness. Why would you want to reject this? Verse 15.
I accept those whose motives, when seeking to do good, are misunderstood, for their place is in splendor is established.
So when you want to do good and people misunderstand you, thinking it's evil, then there's a special reward for that. Is there any bad thing that happens to us? There's always something that the Most High has for us. Continue.
Is it not written, because they have reviled and slandered you, eternal splendor will be granted?
Continue.
You whom I accept are the salt of the earth, but if the savor of the salt disappears, it is useless. As salt without any flavor would be good for nothing, so those without goodness in their hearts serve no purpose. As salt adds flavor to food, so do good men make life more acceptable.
I am your light.
I am your light, but you are the light of the world. Therefore, build a strong city set on a hill, for a light shining from a hilltop cannot be hidden. I have given you the light so it may be put to use. For men do not put a lighted candle under a grain basket, but in a candlestick where it can light up the room.
I have given you the light so it may be put to use. Similar thing when we were speaking about wisdom. All right? All right, continue. Where were we again? Got a message that through now.
Let your light shine before men, so they see the path clearly. Join your lights together, so they combine to form an unquenchable flame.
No, all of these things, they are not in the Bible. But if you look at these words, they make more sense. Let your light shine before men, that they may see Yahuwah and exalt your Father which is in heaven. He said, let your light shine before men, so they see the path clearly. Join your lights together, so they combine to form an unquenchable flame. I don't think this is in the Bible. But this is power. Because,
Yeah, but the path that you see is
yeah,
clearly.
go ahead.
The path that you're supposed to see clearly.
Go ahead.
The path that you're supposed to see clearly is
Yes.
the path to the Most High. And Yahushua is the path, which is the light.
Yeah.
So it's, as it says in the verse before, that I am the light, but you are the light of the world. So he says, let that light that I've given to you so shine before men, so they can see the path clearly to the Most High,
Yes.
which is through Yahushua HaMashiach.
Yes.
So the verse what you quoted, let your light so shine before men, so they might see your good works, is the same how your good works that people would see is the path that they might see to get to the Most High.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just worded differently.
Yeah, but it gives a total different meaning.
It's a total different meaning as well. Yeah.
Join your lights together so they combine to form an unquenchable flame.
Yeah, so it's not just you alone now.
Yes. And this now goes to those people who are online, who are just have their one cowboy thing. I got a message, someone was telling me that no man has been my teacher. Only Yahuwah has taught me. And, you know, this is the kind of thinking, the cowboy, Lone Ranger type of thinking. But the Most High wants us to join our lights together. You have something, George?
Yeah, we read this morning in Sirach 4, I forget which verse, about when we ask for wisdom, we don't keep it to ourselves
Yes.
and deny her beauty.
Yes.
This is what it's saying here about keeping your light or your candlestick hidden.
Yes.
Hidden.
Yeah.
It should be revealed.
Yeah.
Also,
Go ahead.
also, you cannot be perfected by yourself. So this individual thing that people have the idea of thinking that they can teach themselves, or as they say, the most they will teach them,
Yes.
is error.
Yeah.
It's erroneous. Because you need someone who will teach you, who have understanding more than you, and also to show you your faults. So it needs to be more than just you.
And also, teaching is more than just telling you right from wrong. It has to be practical. You have to have a personal, you have to have personal encounters. You have to be corrected. You have to be reproved. You have to be rebuked. You have to go through all different types of things.
So it's like an instructor that you would need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is why, like, the disciples, they followed Yahusha. Back in those days, they knew that it was practical. They so knew that they would drop everything that they are doing and follow a rabbi or a master then. And everywhere that master would be, they would be there with them. Yeah. Continue. Be stout.
Be stout-hearted and resolute, for the struggle will be grim. The foe is wily and well entrenched behind thick walls. Those who have lived with poverty and misery, maintaining a cheerful heart in tribulation,
will arise to splendor. You see? You see why here we speak about being ready for tribulation and trials and trouble? Read it again. Those who have lived.
Those who have lived with poverty and misery, maintaining a cheerful heart in tribulation, will arise to splendor. Those who are broken, serving the cause of Yahuwah, will receive a mantle of splendor. Those whose proper desires remain unfulfilled on earth will find fulfillment in heaven. Those who have cheerfully borne affliction or deformity will radiate strength. And those who die for the cause of justice and peace will inherit life in splendor.
Wow. Go ahead.
I was watching something along these lines where two of the disciples was it's just something that was depicted where they asked Yahusha, can I be at your left hand and can I be at your right hand? So they was expecting a cheerful response. But you know what he said to them? You do not know what you are asking for. Because you accepting this left hand and right hand position goes with trials. So he asked them, can you bear the cup that I'm supposed to bear? Can you be baptized the same way that I'm about to be baptized in? So he's saying, if you cannot, you are not ready to accept this position because many before you have done so much greater. When you think about prophets like Jeremiah, how he put his life on the line, when the Most High said, get up, he got up. He was telling them, you are not ready for this position, so you cannot ask for the left hand and the right hand, thinking that it's something that you just get. You have to earn this spot. So this is what it's saying here. You have to be chastised. You have to go through fire. You have to be burnt. You have to be, it's very, 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 very rough and tough in order to get, as David said, in the doorway.
And this, of course, goes to us today as believers, modern believers. We still don't get it as to the true emanah, the true faith that we are following. It's not a pretty thing. It's not Christianity. It's not religion. It's a bruising battle. It's a bruising battle. Notice what he says. Those who accept even deformity. Yeah? And remember, I even said that if you were to lose a hand, our leg, that's how serious and how hard it is. Yeah? Those who die for the cause of justice and peace. Man, I'm telling you, this is not an easy thing. I just want us to get out of this mindset, of this religious mindset, Now let's see who he rejects. We heard who he accepts. Let's see who he rejects, and we should finish on the rejection.
Sorry, not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Religion have you in a comfort zone.
Yes.
Make you feel like it's all dandy, that JC paid it all to him I owe. So then you live in this comfortable life. But when you come to really read the scriptures and understand the suffering that Yahusha went through, the same suffering that you would have to go through, because he says, deny yourself. So you have to deny yourself in order to accept what is coming before you. And if you do not deny yourself, then you're in comfort.
Yes.
And religion is about comfort.
Yes, and you will not be able to attain unto his perfection. Verse 20, I reject
those who oppose the rule of Eluah. I herald a reborn world, even as I was heralded. But while such as these encumber the earth, it will not be reborn.
those who oppose the rule of the Most High. Self-righteous. He told us before that the self-righteous, self-centered hypocrites, those religious people, they are the greatest enemies of mankind, and they oppose the rule of Elohim. Continue.
I assure you of this, unless the world be reborn, it cannot know the rule of Eluah. The upheaval of the labor pains will be great. For though many will say, speed the day with their lips, in their hearts they will be saying, the cost is too great, spare the coming.
So many people are saying, boy, we need the gathering of Yasharal. We need to be delivered. But when we realize what is to come, the destruction and everything, people start to say, but, and start thinking twice. Continue.
By their fruits shall they be known, and by their deeds shall they be judged.
I reject the rich.
I reject the rich who live with their riches, or those who live beyond the bounds of moderation, for they shall be humbled in outer darkness.
See this? Those who live beyond the bounds of moderation. So we should be living a humble life and not adding. Yeah? Continue.
Is it not written, those in houses of comfort, where they sit at ease listening to instruments of music and sleep on soft beds of ivory, shall not survive?
Whoa, ho, ho. So this comfortable life, and we speak about comfort zone all the while. This life of comfort is the enemy of the true believer, because it's going to make your flesh comfortable, and when you are comfortable, you'll go into apathy.
And we read this morning what wisdom would do to you.
Yes.
The discipline that you have to go through.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second time it's being referenced. Let's go there. Sirach 4. Sirach 4.
Just to give the root of what wisdom is, because someone might think, man, I have wisdom. But the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding are they that do his commandments.
Wisdom 4, verse 11.
Wisdom exalteth her children, and layeth hold of them that seek her. He that loveth her loveth life, and they that seek to her early shall be filled with joy.
Go to verse 16 now.
If a man commit himself unto her, he shall inherit her, and his generation shall hold her in possession.
Yeah, this is wisdom. Continue.
For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul, and try him by her laws.
So when we are walking in wisdom, and without wisdom we can't get into the kingdom. When we are walking in wisdom, At first, wisdom will walk with us by crooked ways. Wisdom will take us to places that are very uncomfortable and unpleasant. And these places will bring fear and dread upon us, and we will be tormented with wisdom's discipline until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. Then, verse 18.
Then will she return the straight way unto him, and comfort him, and show him her secrets.
Verse 19.
But if he go wrong, she will forsake him,
And
give him over to his own ruin.
That's it. So let's go back to Nazarene. That's the walk with wisdom. Yeah? This is the walk with wisdom. Verse 22.
I reject those who gorge themselves with refinements of food, while others hunger, for they shall hunger in the kingdom of the Ruach.
Wow. This is a bad one here. Bad boy here. Those who gorge themselves with refinements of foods while others hunger. So, this is why we're supposed to be base in all things, moderation in all things. For they shall hunger in the kingdom of the Ruach. Even how we eat food, we have to beware. It's nice food at all times and pretty food. It's a problem here. Continue.
Is it not written, they who serve Yahuwah will be filled, but those who do not will want?
All right, let's see who else will be rejected.
I reject those who scorn the way of wisdom.
Whoa, we just spoke about wisdom, didn't we? And what wisdom will do to you. You scorn the way of wisdom, and this way is what we just spoke about. When wisdom takes you along crooked paths and brings you through, torments you with her discipline. So, read 23 again, please.
I reject those who scorn the way of wisdom, seeking vain pleasures which dull the Ruach, for they shall be sorrowful in their proper place.
So if you're not seeking wisdom, then you are going to be seeking foolishness, vain pleasures, foolishness, video games, all sorts of foolishness. Continue.
Is it not written, the Ruach oath of those who serve Yahuwah shall be joyful, but the Ruach oath of those who reject him shall weep in sorrow and regret?
24.
I reject the arrogant and selfish, and those mainly concerned with themselves,
Whoa.
for they will be friendless in their place.
Man.
Is it not written, the things built of selfishness and false pride will be broken?
Wow. These are tough. Tough. The arrogant and selfish, and those mainly concerned with themselves. That's why it says, if any man come after me, let him deny himself. If we do not deny ourselves, we are going to be concerned with ourselves. So we keep telling people, deny self, and people don't understand the importance of it. Because if you're not denying yourself, you're going to be selfish. You're going to be mainly concerned with yourself. Wow. Continue.
I reject the liars and deceivers, for their abode is a place of darkness. Is it not written, the deceitful shall not know the presence of Yahuwah?
I reject those. Verse 26.
I reject those who encourage ignorance, walking stiff-necked, their hearts an unopened book, for they shall not be enlightened.
Those who encourage ignorance, who tell people, don't listen to them, don't even read, don't read that book. Don't read that book. That book is not canonical. That book is not right. Don't read it. Continue.
Is it not written, those who shower scorn on the words of others and close their eyes to righteousness shall not receive a righteous reward in their place?
You see, these people who reject these books, this is what it's talking about. close their eyes to righteousness. So they're not even reading the book to see if they can find righteousness in it. What they're saying is, no, don't read it. I won't read those books. These are great words. Verse 27.
I reject the fornicators and adulterers and those who seek after lewd pleasures.
Whoa. For they shall do what?
For they shall go to a place of uncleanness.
Whoa. Continue.
Is it not written, only they who are clean can come into the presence of Yahuwah?
Lewd pleasures, is sexual pleasures. Whoa, ho, ho. This is tough. 28. Tough for the world.
I reject those who in any way cause needless suffering, for they shall go to a place of pain.
Man, what a perfection it requires. Continue.
Is it not written, he who causes distress, though it be done in secret, yet he is seen and will repay. 29. I reject the hypocrites and self-deceivers, for their loathsomeness will be properly purged. Is it not written, words not written in the heart should never issue from the mouth?
So if you don't have it in your heart, you should never speak it. Verse 30.
Woe to all who hear my words, but twist their meaning to suit their convenience.
Hey. Because even in the Bible, we have the writings of Yahusha, and it is twisted to mean the writings of Jesus, a passive, all good Messiah that it seems is never angry, nothing like that. Just because they want to suit their convenience for their religion. Continue.
If a man says he is with me, but does not abide by my teachings, then he is a hypocrite.
How many times have we said this? That there are people out there speaking about Messiah, Yahusha, Yahweh, Yeshua, and then they are not abiding by his teachings. The reason we speak so much about Yahusha is because we know that we have to abide by his teachings, and we are encouraging people to strive to do the same. Continue.
If he says, but I live in circumstances where this does not apply,
He is a liar.
Far better that such as these say, we are against you, for until they do, the world will not be reborn.
Verse 31.
I bring light to the threshing floor of life, where suffering and misfortune are the flails, tribulation and distress are the winnowing fan, and the wisdom of Yahuwah, the winnowing shovel. Here the wheat is separated from the husks, the chaff is thrown out, and the good grains gathered up.
Now, if I was Old Testament only and I am seeing these words, this must get me thinking. If this does not get a New Old Testament only thinking, then it means his heart is stiff, hard-hearted, and religious. Verse 32.
I come to build a new temple, and if you say, these are good teachings, and take them to your heart,
But tomorrow revile your neighbor and deceive your kinsman,
you are an unstable brick.
Continue.
If the temple be built with such material, surely it will collapse, and those within will perish. Is it not better if it were never built? If you say, but I am weak, then examine your defects and take the first step to stability. But examination is a waste of time unless leading to rectification.
So it doesn't make sense to examine yourself unless you're going to truly change. All right, we can stop here because this you can go on and on and on. It is full of so much food. So much food. Let's go to verse 34. Let's end at 34. This is a nice one to end. Verse 34, page 92.
He that is near me is close to a blazing fire and may get burned, but he who withdraws from the heat withdraws from heaven. Some have said, the yoke of the Torah sits heavy on our shoulders. But I tell you, I come not to lighten, but to magnify the responsibility. Moshe brought the Torah, which says not to kill. But I say, any who releases anger on his brother without just cause shall not escape judgment.
All right, and then he went on to give us the Matthew 5 to Matthew 7 discourse. All right? So this book here, I'm telling you, this book is heavy, heavy, heavy. If you want to attain unto perfection, you can't leave out this book. Go ahead.
Could we read one last verse?
Yes.
It's on page 73. It's chapter 7, verse 25.
73. Yeah.
I have not come to bring peace, but to put a sword into the hands of men, setting sons against their fathers, and daughters against their mothers. For nothing is worthy if a man will not fight for it. Anyone following me will find enemies among his own kindred. And though he love his parents above all else, I will give him a cause which is greater. My burden is not light, and must be shouldered with fortitude and courage.
Those finding it too heavy must go elsewhere. Huh? Yeah, go out the door. That's Old Testament only.
That's his favorite verse.
And the different religions. Yeah, that's George's favorite. The different religions find it too heavy, so they go elsewhere. They find a Messiah, give you a false Messiah, and they will go and come up with different doctrines. This is the stumbling stone, the stone of stumbling, and the rock of offense. This is Yahushua HaMashiach. All right, so this is, anyone has anything else to say? Oh, go ahead.
And I think you reminded them before you started. Just remind the people listening where they can download these books.
Yeah. You can download this and other books, the books of the Nazarene, from our website, justaword.org/downloads. And there you can get this and a few other books that we use that are not in the 66 book Bible. Okay? All right.
Yeah, well, I wanted to add something.
Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about how people may ask how different people in the past weren't aware of what Yahusha had taught because they weren't alive at that point in time. But if you go back, if you look at Genesis, for example, 6, verse 9, we can see an example of this.
Genesis 6:9. Not there yet. Okay, go ahead.
These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with the Lord.
This was the one that I was looking for. Go ahead.
Yeah, so at the time that Noah was alive, he was perfect in his generation. Like we understood today or learning today. If the standard we were to apply now, well, the standard as now, if we were to do that, it's going to be greater than just going based off of the law of Moses only,
Yes.
because it shows you how to overcome sin.
Yes.
There's another example of this in Genesis 17, verse 1.
Yeah.
And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Eluah. Walk before me and be thou perfect. So again, we see that there's a possibility of being perfect because we know the Most High can't lie. So that means that there was the possibility or the opportunity for Abraham or Abram to be perfect alongside Noah, and also Messiah talking about us to be perfect.
Yes.
So that's also there.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, then. Thank you all for listening. Only hope this was edifying unto you as we looked into the Messiah to give us more insights. If you truly want insights into the Messiah, go and read that book, the books of the Nazarene. That is a treasure trove of goodness, of goodies, of powerful things to let us get an idea of the Messiah. Apart from the Bible, that gives us more depth into the things that are spoken in the Bible. And we will see that in the Bible, it seems like more like a summary, but the books of the Nazarene gives you more detail and more interesting insights, all right? So thank you all for listening and continue to make it Jaw Radio. We are at jawradio.org, JAWRADIO.org. We are your 24/7 online station. All right? Thank you and shalom.
Shalom.
All right. So, yeah. All right. So, shalom and thank you for all those who are on the radio. Remember, this will be posted on YouTube. Yahuwah willing, we'll try starting now. Should take probably a couple hours to get on YouTube so you can see it, so you can get to visualize it and see all the scriptures that we have, all right? Want to apologize. Last week we did not get it on YouTube because erroneously I thought I had pressed the start button to get it recorded, but then I realized I did not, so it was not recorded. All right, so we'll try for this week to get it on YouTube. All right, shalom. All right, my job is done. Somebody close off, please.
Let us pray. Yahuwah. Heavenly Father, the great Yahuwah, Sabaoth, we come before you today, O Father, at the end of this Shabbat day, thanking you for the understanding that you've given unto us, learning more about the Messiah and the true Messiah of the Scriptures, and all the deceptions that man and religion has shown to deceive many men, O Father, not knowing the truth of your word, and through the precepts, O Father, as you've shown us in Isaiah 28, how to properly interpret your scriptures, line by line, precept upon precept, here a little